Anyway, I read Sweet Valley High, a lot of those books first. When I don't know, I feel like I was really young when I was reading those books. And then I was like, these are great because kids are not, they don't have good taste. I didn't anyway. I don't know. But so then I read Sweet Valley Kids, which is like when they're in middle school, I think. And I was like super hyped when Sweet Valley University came out. And we will get into Sweet Valley University. And I also read Sweet Valley Histories, Sweet Valley Legacy, Chronicles. Read that one that was like historical. And we'll talk about that one too. And I'll even look up the name so I know like what its name is. But anyway, so Sweet Valley High is about these twins named Jessica and Elizabeth. Whitman Wallace. I can't remember their last names, and it doesn't matter what their last name. It actually does. It's Wakefield. I swear to God, it's Wakefield. I might be wrong about that, but I'm gonna go ahead like I think it's Wakefield.
It's Wakefield.
It's Wakefield for real. Like I'm like Inigo Montoya, and like the sword is guiding me. Like that's really exciting. So David, Sweet Valley High. It's about Elizabeth and Jessica Wakefield, and they're twins, and they live in Sweet Valley, California, which I don't know if that's a real place or not. But if it is not the way it is in these books. Like, I'm sure these places do exist, but like it's kind of like the well-off California teenager fantasy that was sort of popularized by 90210, which I also watched when I was a child. It came out when I was in like third grade, I feel like. Anyway, so they go to Sweet Valley High, and they're like Goofus and Gallant, kind of like Jessica's like the smart, responsible one who like works for the school paper and maybe the yearbook or something. I don't know. She's a nerd, but like a pretty nerd, so it's okay. And then Jessica's like the bad girl who's a cheerleader, and like that's what it's like about. It's about them. I feel like they have a brother, but maybe he's in college or something. I don't know. He's not important. Maybe he's dead. None of it's important. Anyway, so Elizabeth like has a boyfriend. And like in Sweet Valley Kids, they like had to like parent an egg together. So you know it's serious and it's love. And his name starts with a T, and it is either Todd or Tom. And it's Todd. David's saying it's Todd. Anyway, so Todd is a basketball player. Todd plays a sport. We're just going to go with that. Todd plays a sport. And it's...
Well, it says here character names, don't worry.
Anyway, so Elizabeth is dating Todd. And she has a friend whose name is Enid. And I remember her name because it's great. And Jessica has a friend named Lila Fowler. And I remember her name because she's amazing. Like, all these kids are rich, right? Like, Jessica and Elizabeth all the time are like, oh, our life's so hard because the spiders in the shop, they call it the spider. Like, they had a Fiat Spider, which is a kind of car that nobody drives. And they were like, oh no, the spiders in the shop. Like, that was like a big thing that like happened all the time. And that was like to let you know that like they aren't like rich. Not rich like Lila, who's so rich. Like, Lila's amazing. She wears purple. She's ridiculous. In Sweet Valley Kids, Lila discovers this girl who like is like unpopular and nobody likes her, but Lila discovers she can sing, and Lila's like, I'm really good at lip syncing, and they like win a talent show together, all Cyrano de Bergerac, American Idol style. And what's really, this is the most amazing thing, is I feel like I remember the cover is like them back to back from like the big reveal, because you know there's a big reveal moment, and I swear to God they're identical. I swear to God they're identical. Like, okay, Bruce Patman is Lila's rival because he is also rich, but later they go out on. I feel like they're dating when they go on the cruise in Sweet Valley University. You know, none of this really matters. Anyway, so he has a trademark black Porsche with the vanity license plate. It says 1 Bruce 1. Another thing I remember is that for some reason, like, Jessica and Elizabeth's parents are like extremely opposed to motorcycles. Like really opposed. They're like, no, there's a curse, we'll all die. Or like maybe somebody died. Is that what happened to their brother? Did their brother die on a motorcycle? You know what? It doesn't matter. For whatever reason, their parents are like, no, no motorcycle ever. And Elizabeth is like, but Todd just got a motorcycle. And Elizabeth rides the motorcycle. And then the curse strikes. I think there's a motorcycle crash. Or maybe Enid rides the motorcycle and like Elizabeth gets really jealous because she's like, that's my boyfriend. Don't ride the motorcycle with him. That's sexual. And like it's very funny. Like there's a book where they like introduce a fat girl character and they're like, wow, she's super fat and we're all mean to her. And so then she like starts wearing tent dresses for like a week. And then after a week, she's like lost 100 pounds or something fucking ridiculous like that. And she looks like everybody else. And they're like, wow, you're great. Now you can be a cheerleader. Or like something like that. Like it's amazing. Like, oh God, like Sweet Valley High is such a mess. Such a mess. She gets to like, I think, date Bruce Patman after that. She gets to date somebody, like, because now she's pretty, because fat hate is real. It's funny. It's actually terrible, and it probably really messed me up as a child. But anyway, so I was like way invested in this series. And then Sweet Valley University came out. Anyway, so they graduate high school after having their wacky adventures, and then they go to university. And this is where shit gets certifiably fucking bonkers. So they get to university, Sweet Valley University, SVU, and like Jessica like starts getting like really serious about her schoolwork, and Todd is on sport team, which again I cannot remember which sport it was, but it was very important to this school. So it's like important sport team. It's not like curling. It's like basketball or like football or and you know what? Like curling is probably really important at some schools too. So I shouldn't fucking say that. But it was like a really stereotypical American sport school thing.
Okay, so
Don't tell me anything because I am getting to the best part, David. You have to hush, shush, shush, shush. So anyway, so Todd is like, "Hey, what's up? I'm in sport," and Elizabeth is like, "I am in journalism, English or something. I don't know, something stupid," and she meets this other guy whose name is also Todd. No, it's none of this matters. Anyway, so Elizabeth meets this guy who's not Todd, but has like a name really similar. Tom. I think his name is Tom. His name is Tom. Tom Waits. That's right. She dates Tom Waits. Anyway, so Elizabeth meets this guy Tom, and she's like, I'm actually with Todd. We've been together through like, you know, a lot of books, like a lot. And he's like, yeah, that would make sense. And then they start like breaking this story on like hazing or something. And Todd is like, wow, Elizabeth, holy shit, it's really mean of you to like be really mean to my friends and get all up on their jocks, get it? To get all up in their faces just because they're like violently hazing people. And Elizabeth is like, yeah, your new friends are assholes. And Todd is like, you're an asshole and you're fat now because like she is, like she's been eating a lot. That's like a weird plot line that also messed me up as a child. Anyway, um, she's like, oh, I'm sad now, and she like runs away. And this guy is like, hey, what's up? And he's like, his name is William or Winston or Wayland Utani. He has a name that starts with a W, and he seems cool. You know, he seems nice, and he seems like romantically interested in Elizabeth, and Elizabeth is like, "Oh, that's cool, but it's not cool. It's not cool because he's like behind the hazings, and he's also like a KKK mastermind or neo-Nazi." It's William White, like in Breaking Bad. Oh, that's Walter White. I don't know. I didn't watch Breaking Bad. Anyway, William's like actually like a super neo-Nazi bad guy, and like he gets caught. And like I need you to understand that like this is not the tone that I was used to for these books. Things happen in these books, but this was not like the tone I was entirely used to in these books. But looking back on it, looking back, seeing the ways that the twins tempted the curse of God, I can see how this happened. So there's this book, right? It's like Sweet Valley. I still haven't looked up the name and I don't care. It's like stories. I feel like maybe this wasn't even called Sweet Valley. Was it called The Wakefield Chronicles? No, it couldn't have been called that. But anyway, the plot of this book, or maybe these two books, the plot of this book, or possible two books, is that it's like short stories from like history, and it's like Jessica and Elizabeth's like ancestors. Like, and what's fucking hilarious, this is like what it specifically is that is amazing. It is Jessica and Elizabeth's parents' ancestors specifically constantly gravitating towards fucking and then being thwarted by a violent act of God. Like, it's incredible. Like like Mr. Wakefield's like great 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 grandpa or great 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 uncle or something like that almost fucked Mrs. Wakefield's great 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 grandmother, but they were on the Titanic and it fucking sank. Like, I swear to God, it's shit like that. And it's amazing. So it's like for some reason the mom's side of the family, there's often twins, and then the like handsome dad's side of the family shows up and they fight over him, and then like God is like no, and then like a horse kills one of them or something, or like they die in like the Chicago fire. Like, it's fucking amazing. Like, it's so incredible. Oh my God. And so I just assumed that when the serial killer showed up in Sweet Valley University, because he comes back and he's like, hey, Elizabeth, he breaks out of the psychiatric hospital that they put him in, the neo-Nazi guy. He like breaks out of the psychiatric hospital and he's like, I'm gonna kill everyone close to Elizabeth. Like, that's like his thing. It's great. It's really great, honestly. Like, legitimately, these books are fucking great. No, they're terrible. Actually, they're so bad. But yeah, I wanted to tell you about that. Sweet Valley Saga. That's what it's called. The Wakefield Legacy. The untold story. Oh my God, these books are amazing.